The Earth is a large, vast planet with huge land areas that can be divided into 7 main biome types located all across the globe. These 7 include the tropical rainforest, savanna, grassland, desert, temperate forest, boreal forest, and tundra. Canada includes 4 of the main biomes: the temperate forest, grassland, boreal forest, and tundra. Today, we'll be examining the Canadian southern boreal forest and the process of forest fire succession on common tree species inspired by this audio. But first, what is succession? In the simplest terms, succession is how a biological community assembles themselves over time. There are 2 types: primary and secondary succession. Primary succession occurs over barren, unvegetated land with no soil, such as rock. Secondary succession occurs over disturbed land, but still with soil intact. Forest fire succession is a type of secondary succession, which includes the process of new colonization. The boreal forest covers over 1/3 of Canada's landmass and 11% of the world's land area. It consists of multiple subtypes, each dominated by few tree species. Taking a closer look at the southern boreal forest, 4 tree species stand out: aspen, birch, fir, and cedar, which will be our variables that we will take a look at today.
First, the disturbance destroys an ecosystem, in this case, fire. This produces new available space for any tree species, which begins succession. There are 2 types of groups that stand out: the survivors and the dispersers. The survivors, which include species like aspen, can grow under the ground and continue to grow when destruction stops. Other conifers, such as the jack pine and the black spruce, have fire-resistant cones that can also start to sprout immediately after the fire. There are also the dispersers, such as fireweed, which can include plants that are quick to disperse from other patches and can begin to grow on the new site. However, all of these species need to be fast growers in the direct sunlight. This then sets up a competitive hierarchy. The early arrivals, in this case aspen, get a head start, which alters the course of succession. As aspen continues to grow, the shade area beneath them does too. Due to this, the later incoming species need to be able to tolerate higher shade levels. In this case, birch and fir grow next. Short-lived tree that lives approximately up to 75 years. The death of aspen starts stage 2. With the reduction of shade, birch will rapidly grow to replace aspen. However, fir is still suppressed. The death and rotting aspen wood also provides optimal growing conditions for a new species emergence of cedar. As birch moves towards the end of its life, we enter stage 3. Birch suppresses most of the fir and cedar saplings, but eventually dies off and cannot replace itself. The saplings are shade tolerant and continue to grow under the older generations, where they can easily replace themselves. In stage 4, we have a forest full of fir and cedar. Fir is a faster grower and both are shade tolerant. So does cedar ever replace fir? Yes. In cases where there are insect infestations, such as the spruce bloodworm, cedar can take the lead. These worms only feed on fir, killing most of the fir species, and cedar can finally take over. The course comes full circle, and with another disturbance, like fire, it can go back to stage 1.
In this example, we have seen many different ecological interactions and mechanisms present. We saw the abiotic to biotic interaction between the fire and the trees, and the biotic interactions between the tree species themselves. We saw facilitative interactions between the trees, which included the death of the aspen, which provided optimal growth conditions for the cedar, and we also saw competitive interactions, like between the aspen suppressing shade from the cedar, or the conifers outcompeting and overtaking the cedar. The last main interaction that we looked at was between the fir trees and the bloodworms, which showed a herbivory type of interaction. There are also many other interactions between species within the boreal forest, through other plants and animals that the forest and the trees provide home and shelter for. The boreal forest is also important to many people all over Canada. One example of this importance is the importance of land to the Indigenous people. One Indigenous principle that can be applied to the protection of the boreal forest is the seventh generation principle. The seventh generation principle is the idea about how the decisions being made today will affect future generations in reference to the land's health. The general idea is that by making environmental friendly decisions now, we can ensure a sustainable environment for future generations, which is something we can all practice to protect important ecosystems such as the boreal forest. To end off, I would like to thank the ecology professors and teaching assistants at Dalhousie University for their guidance and knowledge that helped inspire this video. Thank you.